Welcome back, viewers at home. We are all about getting our money right as we prepare to buy our first house, be it going for that luxurious holiday. But to best know how to do that, join me in my conversation with Phumelele Ndumo, who is a renowned financial advisor and the host of the upcoming EmpowerHer Financial Success for Women event. In anticipation of Women's Month in August, Phumelele is here to share more on how you can secure your financial understanding on all things financial planning, investment strategies, and building financial resilience. Good evening, Phumelele, and welcome to INX Prime.
Good evening, Maimuna, and thank you for having me.
Now, one thing before we get to speaking about the beautiful, upcoming event that you will be hosting and the key topics about that, can you tell us a bit exactly what led you to pursue a career within the financial advisory field?
I started off my career in banking about 25 years ago.
Okay.
And that was at a time when prime reached 25.5% in this country. And I was horrified to see the number of people who had no understanding of what will happen when interest rates increase. People were losing their homes through bank repossessions. They were losing their cars through repossessions. When I think about it now, 25 years later, I think that was really where the love for financial advice started, because I just realized that we cannot afford, especially as parents, as families, to lose everything every time interest rates increase.
Now, speaking on that scary state, one thing for sure, I think our mindset goes to the fact that, the dominating gender that is, best assumed to be the breadwinner and provider is mostly males. And now I think we're looking at single women who are now their breadwinners, and you find families that have, two incomes, be it the male or the father or the mother or the husband or the wife. I want to fully understand, why is your event particularly, or why are you rather motivated in focusing on empowering women?
It's in line with our event is taking place on the 16th of August, which is Women's Month.
Okay.
And as a woman myself, yes, we have male customers. Most of our customers are actually families. When we have a customer, we tend to capture the entire family, including the children, where, it's an elderly couple. But August being Women's Month, we're focusing on women. But not only that, we understand and we see it. More and more women are breadwinners. They are either single parents by divorce mostly, or even death, or by choice. And that therefore requires that they have a full understanding of their finances. If there is no, financial support from a spouse or a partner. But the event is not meant for single women per se. It's meant for women, because I think, generally speaking, some of us still think that our spouses will take care of everything. But in environments like this, that is no longer the case. For most families to be able to just cope, both salaries are important, and both salaries have to be managed very well to the benefit of the entire family. Hence, we're focusing on women to say, let us, even if you earn less than your spouse, within your means, make the most of your money. These are not times to be thinking of your money as pocket money. It's serious money, and every cent that comes to the family needs to be managed appropriately, needs to make sure that it doesn't get into a lot of debt and all of that.
This is quite interesting and lovely. Now, one thing I want to understand from you is that, when we're talking about events like this, where women will be sitting with other fellow women and networking and finding ways or other ways to growing their money and understanding how best to use their money where it will actually generate more money for them. In this event in particular, what are some of your hopes and primary goals from this event?
There are a number of things that we're hoping for. As a financial advisor, I've found that sometimes you speak to women, and for me, I tend to focus more on the numbers, on the facts. And unfortunately, sometimes I think as women, it's a known fact, we are emotional beings. And sometimes we spend our money to meet our emotional needs. And the numbers, the graphs and everything might be saying, get out of debt now before things get out of hand. Don't go on that holiday. Maybe withdraw your child from that school and put them in a school that you can afford, and so forth. But sometimes that is not enough. And that's why we have Uti as part of the women that will be addressing, our guests. Uti is a CA, yes, but she's also a business coach with a specific focus on some of the mental blocks that you might have, some of the psychological issues that you might have that might be standing in our way to ensuring that we make the most of our money. So we're hoping to, get women to really take their money seriously. I am fortunate, for instance, that this year I'm part of a Graka Machel Women Creating Wealth program.
Okay.
And that has freed me to say there's absolutely nothing wrong to aim to create wealth as a woman, and wealth not just for you as a woman and for your children, but even for future generations. Aim to make your business as a woman to be an employer. We have a high unemployment in our country, so we'll be challenging women to really focus on their finances. You don't have to necessarily be an entrepreneur or a businesswoman. Even within your salary, you can still manage your money such that you create wealth for your family. But if you are in business, you can go beyond your family to the employees that you can create jobs for, and to the future. Make sure that your business is that way, incorporated, so that it does not end when you pass on one day. So we'll be challenging women to look into their finances and be intimate with their finances. I find that sometimes as women, we get intimidated, even our budgets. It's amazing how many of us don't budget. We just earn our salaries, our incomes, and we spend them. We really don't know how we're spending them. Because you find somebody earning 50,000, but they can only account for the big stuff, like the home loan, the car loan, the school fees. The rest of the money, they don't know where it's going. So we want women to be comfortable with their money, and to try and demonstrate to them that it's not as hectic or as intimidating as you might think. And another thing that we really we're hoping women will come to grips with is the importance of saving and investing our money. We cannot afford to work for 40 years, as an example, and at the end of 40 years, we have not really accumulated anything in terms of savings and investments. We trying to push women to really ensure that they have savings, they have investments, and most importantly, as women, we are mothers. And I always say that you can't be a mother and not have a will, because what will happen if something were to happen to you? Can you imagine what will happen to whatever money that you have? It could end up being misused, being abused, and, just disappearing. Whereas if you ensure that you have a will, and where required, you have a trust, even if it's a testamentary trust, you make sure that if anything happens to you, your children will be well looked after, even if you are no longer around. So these are just some of the topics that we'll be talking to women about.
Now, speaking on some of the topics that will be covered at the event, just giving us not too much detail, because now that will surmise, have people not necessarily look into buying tickets and being part of the event. I just want you to help us give us an understanding on the importance of building financial resilience for, the women in particular, especially women who don't have that partner to share that financial burden with.
It's important for all of us. you know, I also find that as women, sometimes we focus more on the here and now. So we know the money will come in, or month end we'll get our salaries, and we're covering our immediate needs for this month. But especially in environment like this in our country, where retrenchments are becoming the order of the day, it is important that you start asking yourself questions like, what if I lost my job? Or what if my partner lost my job? What if after at the end of a 3-4 year degree, my child doesn't get a job? These are some of the things that we can do as women to build that financial resilience. It's time now that we start managing our personal finances as though they were businesses, and ensuring that we have investments, because that becomes the fallback situation in times of hardships. And we don't budget to the last cent. Part of what we earn goes towards cushioning us in the event of a job loss, in the event of our partner losing a job, or even our child losing a job. We are now in an environment where some people go through a retrenchment 2 or 3 times in a matter of 5-10 years. A time when jobs were secure, and you knew you will start working at 24 and you will retire at 60, is no longer there. So you need to be asking tough questions and making sure that your budget caters for such unforeseen circumstances.
And now, speaking on another thing that I would like to, gain insight from you, is the idea of a robust financial foundation. Now, we understand, as you mentioned, some of the, things that are quite inevitable, like that of retrenchment, like that of you losing your job, however way you may be losing it. I want to know, what does it offer one for someone who has, a very robust financial foundation in terms of their mental well-being, the emotional well-being, and most importantly, the financial well-being?
Sorry, Maimuna, I didn't get the question well.
No, I was just trying to understand from you in terms of building a robust financial foundation. Now, earlier on, you highlighted the idea of the likes of retrenchment, losing your source of income, or just losing your job generally. We understand that having a robust financial foundation is quite important. So I want to hear from you, what would it offer that individual in terms of emotional, mental, as well as financial well-being?
When your finances are in order, I find that most of the things are also manageable. Because oftentimes, when our finances get out of hand and we find that we are at risk of our cars being repossessed, our homes being repossessed, sometimes that can result in depression, anger issues, and all of that, mental health issues. So if your finances are in order, you could, stress also leads to financial, to mental issues. So if your finances are well managed, and you know that you've got, for instance, your emergency funds in terms of an emergency, or in case of a crisis, you know that you will be able to cope. And if you know that you have savings and investments to fall back on, that oftentimes alleviates financial stress, and that could give you better outcomes in terms of even avoiding things like anger, because children, for instance, speak to me about challenges that they face, sometimes growing up in families where there's a lot of financial strain, there's a lot of debt, and how that affects even them. And you find, for instance, young graduates who've not even earned a single cent. They're already afraid of money. They're already afraid, wondering if they will make it, because when they think about money, all that comes into mind is the financial distress at home and all the fights and arguments around money. So managing money well is really essential for not just the financial well-being of our families, but also mental well-being and just being able to cope better in life and with the challenges that life throws at us now and again, unexpectedly so.
Phumelele, I want us to take a look at another key topic that is quite interesting, the offshore tax-free investment. Can you tell us a bit about what that entails as well as some of its benefits?
We assist customers with offshore tax-free investments. Most of these are ETFs, that is exchange traded funds. So they are listed in the JSE, but the underlying companies where those ETFs are invested are not South African companies. Most of the companies that we invest in are listed in the New York Stock Exchange and other stock exchanges across the world, not just in the US. So when we're talking about offshore investments, we're talking about companies, you investing in companies that are not SA companies. And these companies could be in France, they could be in the US, they could be anywhere, Russia, China, and so forth. So those are the companies that you are investing in. Now, what are the advantages? We're finding, we're looking at fund fact sheets on a regular basis. Most of these offshore investments, they outperform the local investments. When you're really looking for growing and getting good returns on your investments, I say to my customers, go offshore. Yes, there are risks that you are taking by going offshore, but for the risk that you're taking, you are also being compensated in better returns. You could be getting returns far in excess of, in some instances, even 60%, 60. And that is unheard of in the local stock exchange. So sometimes we have to let go of the fear for you to be able to benefit from optimum returns. But it is still important for you to understand the fundamentals and the companies that you are investing in, so that you are not just almost just taking a gamble. You're making an informed decision even as you invest offshore. So you have to look at the historical performance of some of these offshore funds that you invest in. For me, that is the best indicator of what you will expect from the investment returns of those funds. It does not mean that the past will necessarily repeat itself, but it's still a good indicator. If a company or a fund has done well in the past 5-10 years, chances are if you invest in that fund, you are also going to be benefiting from those good returns. So for me, it really comes down to good returns for the customers.
Now, Phumelele, for viewers at home who are taken by our conversation and would like to be part of the event, can you just give us more details on, I remember you saying it's going to be held on the 16th of August, if you can share some of the details where, viewers can purchase their tickets, as well as what more to expect from this particular event.
This particular event will be started off by our hosts, the Business Development Manager at Signia, Sibahle, and she'll be talking about some of the popular or frequently asked questions. Okay. For instance, many people still ask about cryptocurrency. They need to understand the basics between the difference between unit trusts and ETFs, as an example. So she will start us off with that. And then we'll have Puti, the chartered accountant, who is more of a business coach, and also a coach on issues of personal finances. So she will also be talking about resilience. How do you build resilience, especially at times like this? And then I will end off with really just giving women tips on how do we cope, when everything is expensive, food is expensive, electricity, water, rates, school fees, medical aid, and even our repayments on our debts like home loans, car loans, everything is expensive. How can you cope at times like this? Because what I find happening, unfortunately, is that people look for more debt at times like this. And my role would be really to show you that you should be doing the opposite. You should be actually looking for money wherever you can find it, and we're good at finding money for our customers to make sure that you kill those debts. And I challenge, women who will be there to say, what if all you had was just a home loan and a car loan? Will that make it easy for you? And I find that in most instances, if people had just the home loans and the car loans, and they did not have all these expensive, unsecured, short-term debt like your overdraft and your personal loans and your revolving credits and credit card debt, oftentimes you then find that they can cope within their incomes. So those are some of the things that we'll be talking to women about, sharing with them tips on how to get out of debt at times like this, so that they are left with just a home loan and a car loan. And yes, in some instances, this could be the time for you to downgrade that expensive car. If we've tried everything and nothing is moving, you may have to downgrade that car. And we'll be taking women back to basics, as I say, because when I started working in banking about 25 years ago, there were no such things as residual and balloon payments. And you could not buy a home if you did not have money for conveyancing fees, But we're finding more and more that people are struggling because they buy a big ticket item like a home with zero savings, and they qualify for 100% of a home loan, and they still go and take on short-term unsecured personal loans for conveyancing fees. And that is what makes their lives more difficult. Hence, I say we must go back to basics, to saving our money, to investing our money, making sure that we can put down deposits, we can pay our transfer and bond registration fees, so that we are really financially resilient.
Now, in terms of the tickets, where can they purchase the tickets in question, as well as if they want more information, how can they get in contact with you?
I'm going to share our office WhatsApp number,
okay,
which is 069 245 0228. The event you can also purchase off our online store. If you go to our website, which is www.tutuga-sa.co.za. I think we've put it on our homepage so that you don't have to go through the website to find where it is. The event is right there on our homepage, so you can purchase directly from our homepage or contact us. We can send you the link, and then you can pay for the event. And by the way, if you purchase the tickets before the end of July, you will be buying the ticket for 400 rands. You'll get 150 off. But if you buy in August, you'll pay the full price, which is 550.
Phumelele, thank you so much for joining us this evening and sharing in on your beautiful upcoming event that we pray that it's nothing short of success.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Maimuna.
Viewers at home, that was Phumelele Ndumo, who is quite a financial advisor, as you heard from her speaking in terms of how you can empower yourself through financial literacy by attending the event in question. But on that note, let's head over to an ad break. See you when we come back.